Hello, Mohsen Jamal, and you watch Afghan News. Pakistan's Prime Minister has rejected a personal request from the Afghan President to reconsider Islamabad's decision to boycott an upcoming conference on Afghanistan over NATO airstrikes that killed 24 Pakistani troops. Yusuf Raza Gilani on Wednesday said that Afghan President Hamid Karzai called him late Tuesday to ask him to attend the December 5th meeting in Bonn, Germany, aimed at stabilizing Afghanistan. The Pakistani leader said NATO forces used Afghan territory to launch the airstrikes so Islamabad would not attend in protest. NATO and the United States have expressed their sympathies for the Pakistani deaths and said they are investigating the incident. A day earlier, Major General Ashfaq Nadeem, Director General of Pakistan's military operations, said that the deaths of 24 Pakistani soldiers were the result of a deliberate act of aggression. The decision to skip the Afghan conference Monday in Bonn, Germany was made during a Pakistani cabinet meeting, and German Chancellor Angela Merkel said she hoped the government would reconsider. Pentagon Press Secretary George Little also urged Pakistan to attend the meeting. The Afghan government has said the second phase of the security handover from NATO-led international soldiers to Afghan forces will start in a relatively peaceful northern province on Thursday. Zahir Azimi, Afghan Defense Ministry spokesman, said on Wednesday that the process will start Thursday but did not specify which provinces would be affected. However, local officials in Charikar, the provincial capital city of Parwan province, said theirs would be the first area to be transferred. Roshana Khalid, a spokeswoman for the governor of Parwan province, said that there is going to be a ceremony in the capital city Thursday where at least 350 senior Afghan and coalition officials are going to participate in the handover ceremony. Last week, Afghan President Hamid Karzai announced that the handover areas will cover about half of the country's population, including 6 whole provinces, 7 provincial cities and 43 districts from 9 provinces all over the country. World powers must share the cost of training Afghan security forces once foreign troops leave in 2014 because the United States cannot be expected to continue paying about $12 billion a year, French diplomats sources said on Tuesday. The sources said that Paris expected next week's conference in Bonn marking the 10-year anniversary since the fall of the Taliban, as well as another meeting in Chicago next year to clarify how the Afghan army would be financed. NATO is racing against the clock to train Afghanistan's police and army forces, expected to reach 350,000 strong in order to take over fighting an increasingly violent war. The United States poured in a record amount near $12 billion between October 2010 and September 2011 to train and equip Afghanistan security forces, almost as much cash, some $11 billion is planned for the year through September 2012. France spends about $668 million a year on its Afghan operations. The objective is to cut the number of Afghan troops being trained to about 230,000 by 2017, which would eventually reduce the annual bill to about $3 to $4 billion. The sources said it would be logical for partners that have not contributed until now to help pay the costs. Police in the Afghan capital foiled a terrorist attack when they recovered a 20-kilogram explosive device from a city suburb, the government said on Wednesday. This explosive device was planted in Mulayan area in Surubi district of Kabul and was found by police Tuesday, a statement from the Interior Ministry said. Meanwhile, NATO says a roadside bomb has killed a service member with the international military coalition in southern Afghanistan. NATO says the service member was killed Wednesday, but did not disclose the nationality of the service member or provide other details. So far this year, 515 international troops have been killed in Afghanistan, including at least 386 Americans. 8 civilians have died in a traffic accident in western Herat province. Local officials said the incident happened in Herat city when a bus crashed with a truck on Tuesday night, killing 8, including 3 women and 3 children. They were all members of the same family, officials said. Traffic incidents often occur and officials mostly blame drivers for being reckless. Meanwhile, a statement from the NATO-led International Security Task Force said that a leader of the Haqqani network was detained in Afghanistan Wednesday. The press release added that the leader, whose name was was not disclosed, was arrested in Puli Alam district of Logar province. Armed men in northern Afghanistan sprayed acid on 3 daughters and their parents, officials said on Wednesday. Nadira Gya, head of Afghan Women Affairs Department in the Kunduz province, said that the two nights ago, unknown gunmen attacked a house just outside the capital Kunduz city and threw acid on 3 girls aged 18, 13 and 12 and their parents. The attack took place in Bulake Awal area in the capital of the northern Kunduz province, and Gya said the motive behind the attack was that the girl's parents refused to marry their eldest 18-year-old daughter to a local warlord. A doctor at the Kunduz Provincial Hospital said the condition of the 18-year-old girl is critical and her whole body is burned. According to a United Nations agency report issued in April last year, almost 1/3 of Afghan women are exposed to physical and psychological violence, while an estimated 25% suffer from sexual violence. A US-sponsored survey has found that Afghans are now living longer, fewer infants are dying and more women are surviving childbirth because healthcare has dramatically improved in the past decade. The national survey released on Wednesday shows estimated life expectancy is up to between 62 and 64 years for both men and women. Previous studies estimated life expectancy at between 47 and 50 years. This study shows infant mortality has been cut in half in recent years, and that Afghan women are far more likely to survive pregnancy. But the survey conducted by the Afghan Health Ministry in 2010 also says that one Afghan woman still dies about every 2 hours from pregnancy-related causes, and that while childhood mortality is decreasing, it remains the highest in the region. Britain is evacuating its diplomatic staff from Tehran following the storming of its embassy by Iranian protesters the day before, which sparked international condemnation. The Foreign Office in London confirmed on Wednesday information from EU diplomats in the Iranian capital that the British staff were being withdrawn. The evacuation was decided after Iranian protesters overran Britain's 2 diplomatic compounds in Tehran for several hours Tuesday, tearing down the British flag and trashing embassy offices. The protesters were reflecting official anger at Britain's decision last week to cut all relations with Iran's financial sector as part of new sanctions unveiled in coordination with the United States and Canada. Ban Ki-moon, the UN chief, said he was shocked and outraged to hear of the incident in Tehran in which demonstrators entered the British embassy, briefly abducted embassy staff and damaged property. And Turkey has said it will suspend all financial dealings with Syria and freeze the assets of Bashar al-Assad's government as part of sanctions against its former ally, announcing the measures apparently aimed at persuading the Syrian president to end its crackdown against pro-democracy protesters. Ahmed Davutoglu, the Turkish foreign minister, said in Ankara on Wednesday that Assad's government had come to the end of the road. He said Turkey will block the delivery of all weapons and military equipment to Syria. The Turkish steps follow in the wake of sanctions announced by the Arab League, which have been described by Walid al-Muallim, Syria's foreign minister, as equivalent to economic warfare and thus giving Syria the right to use its strategic location to inflict economic damage of its own. Davutoglu said Syria has entered a vicious circle of violence despite warnings from Turkey, adding that a cooperation agreement with Syria was being suspended until there was a new government in place. Davutoglu's sanctions announcement came a day after Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, dismissed calls for an arms embargo on Syria and cautioned against imposing ultimatums on Assad's government. That's all for now. Thanks for staying with us.